r/AskReddit. People who were mentioned in someone's suicide note, what's your story?
My mum committed suicide after finding out that her tumor was malignant. She had just lost her father a year before and her mother died in treatment for cancer. She laid everything out, notes to specific people and how she wanted things done. I have always been an old soul and she planned for me to find her as I would be the reasonable person I am. But that day I was invited to try out for the debate team, so I came home late. And my little sister was the one who found her edit. Thank you for all the kind words. Mental health is something that needs to more important. We can all sway ourselves and convince ourselves of even the most ridiculous things. Edit 2. A little context. My mother was a valedictorian, held 2 degrees, and she worked as social worker helping people with disabilities. He sent me a separate note the day before he did it. Thanks for existing, I love you. I just answered with love you too, bud. I had no idea.
He wanted me to know he loved me. That it wasn't my fault. That I was the best friend anyone could want or have. That I should have his car. That he thought he was going mad and was saving his brother and me from the madness. I showed the note to Mitha. She thinks he had schizophrenia. His mom did. It's been 6 years. I am still not over his death. Doubt I ever will be.
I was a teenager and a close friend killed herself. She wanted me to have her music collection, leather jacket, and a screenplay she wrote.
I had lived with Craig for about 8 months before he killed himself. I'd known him for 4 years before that. We met at a metal gig and he was a short, thin guy who almost got trampled in a mosh pit. We knew he was going a bad way as soon as he started hanging out with the group we all knew did heroin and similar regularly. Maybe 2 months after we started living together. I tried to help him as much as I could. There were so many nights when he got back, clearly out of his mind on whatever it was he'd been doing, and he'd stay on the couch in my room instead of going to his own. He didn't like to be alone. I spent a lot of mornings cooking for him and generally making sure he was okay, but it was like shoveling snow in a blizzard. He'd just go to the same the next night. At the end of that 8 months we found him in his room having overdosed. We realized it was intentional when we read his note. A lot of it was about his family problems, his mental health, and just generally how terrible he thought the world was. Then near the end was a little paragraph about me, thanking me but saying I made the decision to end his life more complicated. He asked me not to blame myself. He then rambled some more and it was clear he'd been high whilst writing it. I moved out a month later.
When my mom attempted suicide, I was in her note. She just wanted me to know that it wasn't my fault and that she loves me no matter what.
He just got back from Iraq, Marine. He called me up. I wasn't very close to him but we both served. Michael. We talked for about 2 weeks before it happened. He talked about how much he loved his mom, his brothers in the service. I thought everything was normal. That's crap we all talk about after coming home. He shot himself over the phone. I still can't get the sound out of my head. Navy took 2 weeks to send a chaplain. Then NCIS was involved. When I returned home I found out that he had left a ruck for me. He left a rucksack for me and I couldn't do anything for him. He gave it to his parents and had asked them to give it to me, once did many military funerals. I was asked to help out on one but it was a crappy time, Saturday, early morning. I praised the memory of a young father. I presented the flag to his 5-year-old daughter. Her mom died of cancer a few months ago. That was the hardest moment of my life. I had to look a little girl in the eyes, no tears, and give her her father's flag. That's what broke me.
Apparently they owed me $5. I didn't even realize.
Question to those who have been told I love you, it's not your fault in someone else's note. Did that help or did it make you feel more guilty?
My boyfriend blamed me in his note and professed his love for someone else while condemning me.
Not really a suicide one but a end old life goodbye one. He was sick and almost got through it, but at the end with weak immune system, cold was enough to get inflammations on everything. He was almost 18. Till this day the perfect person for me. And most important of all, the only real rock I had who was there from the moment we first met. He wanted to make me laugh. He always did that. Made a few jokes. Terrible ones, dad once. Still made me laugh, and made the pain more durable. I miss those lame jokes.
It was my dad's note. Telling us boys that he is so proud of the men we've become, and even just writing that now makes me cry happy and sad tears. It's been just over 4 years now. He was a great dad and had such a profoundly positive impact on who I am today. Even with how it ended, I couldn't ask for a better dad. He was something else. I am a lucky kid. Wish he could see me now. I am glad he knew my wife before he went. Wish he could meet my nephew. I love you, Dad. I still miss the heck out of you, you ornery old hippie. You're still my hero. Thank you. For everything. Welp, wasn't expecting that wave. Thank you. It's been a minute since I cried for him.
No note, just a phone call to preteen me that had stayed up too late because my single-parent mother had gone out looking to score whatever pills would sat her addiction. Kid me had no idea, adult me now knows it was obvious. I don't remember the call completely, but I do remember being annoyed she'd kicked me off the dial-up by calling in. She said and made me promise a bunch of things that felt very serious but also very confusing, and then we hung up. Police officer knocked on the door a few hours later and everything changed. No one but me knows about that phone call, especially not my brother. I'll be the exact same age she was, down to the hour, in roughly 500 days. I keep a countdown timer on my phone. One of the promises she made me make was to live longer than she did.
My girlfriend killed herself a little over a year ago. We were fighting and I was planning to leave her. She sent me a message that she hoped her death weighed heavy on me for a long time while I was sleeping. She was dead in the bed next to me when I woke up.
Even though nobody was mentioned, this specific note stays close to my heart to this day. My dad is a retired detective, and one day a few years ago he came home from work visually distraught. I usually talk to him about his day, so I asked him what was wrong, and he told me a young man, I think around 22, had committed suicide, and the note broke his heart. I asked what it said, and it read something like, "Mum, Dad, I'm sorry I couldn't be stronger. I hope to see you both someday in a place that's beautiful."
Used to know this woman, whose ex-husband killed himself and used his suicide note to tell his children, 6 and 8, that their mummy killed him, and not only was it her fault, but theirs too. And the police dealing with it had to be physically stopped by the mother from reading it to her darn kids. One of the more fudged up stories from where I live.
One of my best friend's mother committed suicide and had a little message for her 2 children in her suicide note. It was mostly straight down the line apologetic, and an explanation as to why. Spinal cancer which metastasized, and it was only downhill for her. She did her taxes, paid all her bills, got all her paperwork in order. Wrote a farewell note and swallowed a bottle of painkillers. I only managed to see a small section of the note as I was the second non-emergency person on the scene. My friend was the first, but enough to know it was her way of trying to make things as painless as possible for everyone else.
Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe and smack that bell icon to stay up to date on our videos. See you next time.